Let's open up the OG mailbag alongside Dimitri Ravanos.
Oh, hello, everybody.
I'm Joe Ovias. Big thanks to the Butcher's Market for being the sponsor of the OG mailbag. Check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. You could just go the Giglio route. Giglio's not here today because he's actually doing inventory on all of his hot dogs. I think he bought 108 hot dogs. He's just trying to do some inventory as to how many he has left. See if we can bring some maybe to the Rialto.
Listen, you eat 3 at a time. Those go by pretty quickly.
No, as most people kind of figured out yesterday, Joe was down bad with illness.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
In fact, you might want to wipe down that mic.
Whatever happens.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I had some people on the YouTube comments like, you guys are in like a 10 by 10 room and Giglio's coughing up. I'm like, Joe and I survived the pandemic in a closed studio.
Right.
So we're good.
And what I think people don't realize about the 99.9 studio is like, it's big for a radio studio. That does not mean it is big. It is big. And where the hosts have to sit is not particularly spacious.
No. And that was my request, actually, because I didn't want to be too close to Adam Gold.
Sure.
I hated being in the same room with Adam so badly that I actually sat in the control room and ran the board for a while.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
I was about to say, like, I knew that, like, you guys weren't the best of friends, but I didn't think you guys hated each other.
No. See, that's the thing that
I would say Mike and I were not the best of friends, but we were friends. Like, that's what I would say with you and Adam.
It's funny, it's like one of those things. Adam got asked that question all the time. Like, you guys hang out? We both go, no. Like, we see each other enough.
Yeah.
Like, we spend an inordinate amount of time together in the same room. So, I think the reason why we work is because we're not hanging out all the time. I'll see you at work, buddy. But we would go to like a Final Four or something like that, or ACC tournament. Yeah, we'd hang out at hospitality together and whatnot.
That's
it's funny like that.
Someone that has become a friend since the 96 Rock Days on Facebook one time said that they are always happy to see when I am out on the West Coast and I see Robin Fox or Salt is in town and I see Salt. And they're like, it's great to know you're still close. It's like, we're not. That's why we post a picture.
Exactly.
When we're together.
Anyway, it's a weird business is what we're getting at. It's a weird business. So before we get into the OG mailbag, RIP Bob Uecker.
Indeed.
That one hit me a little bit differently, man. I know he's 90.
Sure.
He was dealing with cancer. I get all those types of things, but like for a certain subset of people in the 80s and the 90s, Bob Uecker was this interesting connection of, I knew Bob Uecker from the pop culture.
Absolutely.
I did not know Bob Uecker from his actual days playing baseball.
And because of where you lived, you didn't know him from calling baseball.
No, I thought when I first watched Major League that it was, it's Bob Uecker from the beer commercials who's doing these play-by-play things. I did not realize until I was older that, no, he actually is a baseball play-by-play guy. I know he did some World Series and whatnot as well, but this is, Mr. Belvedere. He was the dad of Mr. Belvedere. His contribution to sports beyond the Major League, just a bit outside. You got the Uecker seats because of the Miller Lite ads and whatnot. But I knew him from pop culture before I knew what he was as a baseball player. And for a certain subsection of sports fans like you or me, he really was a guy that I always enjoyed because he brought the stupidity of sports out. It's not always so freaking serious, guys.
Right. And I would say that specifically the role in Major League, for a while there, every sports comedy was trying to do something with the announcer.
Yeah.
Think about Necessary Roughness and Rob Schneider, right? There was that was such a pivotal role in the movie that had nothing to do with anything going on in the movie, if that makes sense.
No, I got what you're saying.
Like, you never see him interacting with any of the players or the managers or anything like that, but he is a star of that film.
So, man, RIP. This gets me to a Hey Joe question for you.
Okay.
Hey Dimitri.
You can call me Joe.
Which of today's current media personalities, 40 years from now, when they pass away, that whatever this business looks like in 40 to 50 years, that whoever is sitting in this particular role goes, man, I missed it. You don't understand this guy's impact back in the day.
Yeah.
Who will that be?
Okay. I don't try to think of the right way to say this because I do have someone in mind.
Okay.
There will be this, when he passes away, there will be this, He's the first guy I remember all of us hating when Joe Buck dies. Not because Joe Buck is bad at what he does. I think Joe Buck is exceptional at what he does.
At what he does.
But Joe Buck is the only person I can ever remember every fan base being convinced he hates our team.
Oh, okay.
And that's a sign of a really good play-by-play guy, right?
Like, are we going to, no, but see, I'm more thinking about like the in memoriam for PFT commenter. Like, how are you going to explain that?
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I gotcha.
Like, or Pat McAfee.
Yeah. McAfee, I think, is easy to explain.
That one's easy to explain, but like, we're in such a weird place when it comes to sports stuff. Like, how do you explain that?
How do you explain...
It's like, here's a guy who used to call into Bomani's radio show as like a complete bit. Now he's like the most powerful podcaster out there. Like, how do you explain that?
Yeah, in 40 years.
What is PFT? Like, what are you talking about?
In 40 years, it is going to, you know who it's going to, like, it's going to be interesting to explain, like, what is Bill Simmons?
No, that's easy to explain.
How?
Basically, he was our generation's columnist. Basically, like he was
okay. And in 40 years, tell me what a columnist is.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was the guy who really, like, Kornheiser walked so Simmons could run. Like, Kornheiser realized, and I'll never forget this interview that he did with Simmons, that Kornheiser saying, my fingers stopped working. Like, I couldn't write anymore. Mm-hmm. But that happened to Simmons too. So he's now known for a good chunk of people as PTI. But Simmons was the all-around guy. Like, not only was he doing TV, but he was also doing the internet. He was a podcast trailblazer.
I think one of the things that is going to be...
I think he's easy to understand.
See, I don't, because of just how powerful he became off of being basically a blogger before he parted company with ESPN. Okay. Now I think it is easier to understand.
Fair enough. So just a little mental thought experiment
it's
with
a good
the
one.
passing of Bob Uecker.
In a week when you're recording this, I will bust in while you guys are recording and say, I figured it out.
I know who it is. All right, so let's get into the OG mailbag. As always, the first part of this is free if you want to hear the whole thing. And I think in today's episode, you'll want to, because I'm doing a hell of a tease for today's OG mailbag free to paid portion. So go to ogtrianglemedia.com. Go be part of OG fans. It's as little as $13 a month.
By the way, because this is going to be part of OG Fans, I will share a bit of business news with you.
OG business.
I found out today 11 people gave OG Fan subscriptions as a Christmas gift.
Amazing. We had a guy call in saying, I got a gift.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I love that it was an actual gift. I joked. They're like, hey, give the gift of OG fans.
We got whatever the opposite of a baker's dozen is. Instead of one over, we were one short.
I love that. All right, let's go to, you know what? Let's screw it, man. Let's just get right into it. Let's go to the OG sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
I'm actually excited that you're here for today's OG mailbag and not Gilio, because you get to deal with the NC State madness.
Oh, sure.
You ready?
Which one of you knuckleheads declared NC State shit dead? Which one? Oh, it was both of you, wasn't it? NC State shit is alive and well, and thanks in part to Kevin Keats. We're stuck with this shit. Forever. And ever. And it's like the Energizer Bunny. It keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going.
I appreciate how the caller faded out.
Oh, that was him doing
that. Was him. That was not me. I appreciate how the caller faded out on his own. I appreciate that. So I'm glad you're here for this because when Kevin Keats and NC State won the ACC championship, I certainly declared that NC State shit was dead.
Right.
Especially how they got there, who they had to beat, where they were, all these kinds of things. And I said, from here on out, and I gave Kevin Keats all the credit in the world. From here on out, anything that happens to NC State is, hey, man, you're just like everybody else. You just suck.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard thing for some people to process. Like, there's this big universal karmic thing that's happening to you that no other sports team has to deal with. We have to deal with NC State shit. It's kind of like Clemsoning. Oh, man, here we go with the Clemsoning again. Nah. You just suck.
Listen,
and that's hard to process when you're just like, you're just not good.
I've lived in the Triangle for 20 years. So even though I was not here for the origins of NC State shit, I've seen plenty of it, right?
Yeah.
And my argument has always been like, you're not cursed, you just fucking suck. And why does it happen across multiple sports? Dude, suck begets suck. Like, it's in the water over there.
I mean, there are so many reasons why NC State's in the position that they're in, but there is a galaxy brain take on NC State shit that I might get to depending on how some of these calls go. So here's another one. I think this is from a 919.
Hey guys, this is Matt Fuquay. Following up, I just want to ask after this game tonight, at what point in the season, and at what point, what evidence are we going to see when either of you are going to say, you know what, Kevin Keats hasn't done a great job this year, or that wasn't a good coaching decision, or that was a tough game on Keats' part? Because ultimately, it's not just decision-making during the game, it's also preparing your team and getting them ready, and the team you put on the court. This is all the coach's decisions, and he deserves credit when things go well, like they did this past spring, which, to be fair, was definitely the exception to the rule as far as his overall time here at State. But when is it going to be okay to say, wow, that was a bad job? I'm not necessarily saying tonight's that night, but I'm actually asking you, what's going to have to happen for y'all to say, that was not a very good job by Keats? I'm waiting for it. Because coming out of a timeout, apparently running a horrible play multiple times this season, and has done it all throughout his career, apparently that's not enough to say he's done a bad job. But multiple collapses now already in this mid-January has already happened. That's evidence of a bad job. So what's it going to be? Is it okay at this point to say he's done has not had a great season thus far? You tell me. Thanks.
So I think if I can kind of peel back the onion on this, I think there are times where specifically Giglio, and I'm included in this, trying to give you context as to why it is the way that it is with Kevin Keats and why he's probably not, because the easy solution was just fire him.
Yeah.
Right? Well, all of last year, it was, well, here's the problem with firing him. You got financial considerations and all this other stuff, right? And it's hard to hear as a program that, hey, man, you don't have as much money as you think you do.
Right.
Okay. So that,
right, especially in the age of NIL when you are, but you talk about.
Put a pin in that.
Okay.
Put a pin in the NIL thing, because I do think we're kind of crossing the Rubicon with some stuff.
Okay.
And how we talk about college sports specifically. So I think the last year there was not confusion, but some misunderstanding of what we were trying to do. Okay. It wasn't that we didn't understand that people were done with Keats. It was more along the lines of understand that the reason why you just can't wave a magic wand and have Keats out of there, there's reasons behind it. And then when he wins the ACC tournament and he gets to the Final Four, it makes all that context double down.
Yeah. Because
there's contract extension considerations that could, like it, and this is where we get to the galaxy brain level of NC State shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though I have of the belief that NC State shit is dead, and you're just like everybody else who has a bad season, or you're just not that good, right? Is it galaxy brain NC State shit to say that true NC State shit is, yes, you did win an ACC championship. You did go to the Final Four. But the monkey's paw dictates that now you have a guy who, I mean, all the evidence indicates that hasn't really been going anywhere.
Right.
Now you're stuck with him.
That's a really good point, because I have asked you privately before if like there is some NC State shit going on. And look, I'll be transparent. I think I've written this, so OG fan subscribers have seen me say this before. As it relates to football, like, I don't care what you do, man. The 1-2 doesn't exist here. It just doesn't.
No, I agree with you.
It absolutely
when it comes
does
to
not.
football,
Talking about football, not basketball.
Specifically.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't exist here. It's never going to exist here. Want to is ingrained culturally, right?
Yes.
So I've asked you before if the Final Four trip and the ACC championship, the Final Four trip combined with the women's Final Four trip, combined with the everything that made up Year of the Wolf, right? Was that enough to make people sort of settle back in the way they did during the TOB years that drove me nuts, which was like, oh, we're going to the Independence Bowl, bowl trip.
No.
I want to believe you, but just because the bowl is a little bit higher tier does not mean it doesn't look awfully similar.
No, I think what the Final Four, the ACC tournament and the Final Four did is it recalibrated that it's much easier to do this in basketball than it is in football.
I mean, I hope that people...
And it recalibrated like, what is our identity? I get that football is the thing that drives everything, and that's what gets the college realignment going and whatnot. But I do think that 2024 with NIL and the SEC Big Ten stuff and the college football playoff kind of recalibrated people's things of like, well, what do I actually want?
Right.
And I'm in this group, by the way. I was very much pro expansion, go all in on football. But as college sports has become more national rather than regional, you've lost a little bit of that soul. I mean, I went back and forth with Joel Anderson of The Ringer now. He was with Slate, was with ESPN. He's a big college football guy. And he didn't understand like why ECU was doing Wolves down and like losing, like there was a fight. He's like, I didn't realize ECU and NC State had heat. Well, why would you?
Yeah.
Because college football is supposed to be a regional sport.
Right.
And around here, we know it's got heat.
Right.
And it's like the whole NC State Carolina thing too. Like nationally, NC State and Carolina are not going to move the needle because everything's obsessed with Duke and Carolina. But locally, yeah, man, it's got heat. Yeah. So I wonder if that actually, because of the way the heat was there for all of March, not just beating Duke and Carolina, right? And then beating Duke again in the Elite Eight, you're reminded, this is why the old timers get so freaking nostalgic about the 80s and the 70s and stuff like that. So that's just a curious. I mean, it certainly has happened to me, and I've changed my mind on it. I mean, I don't know if the rest of the of college area fans, because we're seeing this with Carolina football too with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I
mean, listen, I have found, even working with you guys now and being so much more locally focused, I have found that I enjoy this more to like peek in as a curious observer and ask the two of you to explain things to me.
I mean, that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Listen, I'll never listen, you're not going to get me to watch a game on the CW. That's just never going to happen. It literally hurts my head.
Even though low key, their production's better.
I mean, it might be better, but
their production,
the way it looks
good
across my screen,
it does.
It genuinely, Joe, hurts my head.
It does look like I'm streaming Hulu on my Wii U. You're right. I'm
on the way to cookout because, stress eating is a thing. The point that basketball is at right now is so bad, and I love the fact that we won the ACC championship last year. I completely love it. I'm all here for it. Go Wolfpack, baby, all day. Beat those dirty feet people down in Chapel Hill, whatever. But is all this worth it because Kevin Keats was able to win the ACC tournament and go on a Final Four run? I don't know. It might be. I'm personally glad that we did, but at the same time, it's like, well, you did this on one hand, but on the other hand, you get Kevin Keats for an extended number of years. So I'm conflicted. I am deeply conflicted. Love you guys. I don't know what to do anymore. Go Dan Pack.
What I mean by the want to is an ingrained kind of thing. LSU won a national championship, and a year and a half later is like, nope, fuck Ed Orgeron, gone.
Yeah, you're
Auburn
gone
won
here.
a national championship. 2 years later, Gene Chizik, fuck that shit, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, to give Trilio credit, he gave credit to App State and ECU. It's like, you're the only real serious ones around here. You don't think this guy's getting it done. All right, well, rather than trying to explain it away, well, get the hell out of here.
And this is not a football versus basketball thing. This is my SEC brain is broken by, well, what happened last year is worth what is happening this year. I just don't get that. I don't get that way of thinking about this.
So I'll say this. You don't know the caller didn't know what to do. Going to cookout is always a wise choice.
Sure.
To eat your feelings. I've certainly done that a bunch of times. And to answer the question, you absolutely take an ACC championship in a Final Four run every freaking time. I don't even know why this is a question. Every freaking time.
Every freaking time.
Every freaking time.
But
you can't
that
take
time
back,
is going to get further and further away.
Right, but you did it. You had fun with it.
Yeah, you don't dismiss the memories.
As Bad Bunny just put out an entire album of take more photos, man. Okay? Take more photos.
Yeah.
Remember, that's why you can't take back I was on Hillsborough Street with all y'all. To take it all in.
Joe
was drunk doing Fireball with a lot of y'all out in Phoenix.
Joe,
you can't take that back.
I think You are genuinely one of my best friends. So keep that in mind as I say this.
Yeah.
You sound like such a fucking loser right now.
That's fine. Look at me. Look at me. All right, one more sports phone call on this.
What's up, guys? Calling in from Boone. Grew up down in Cary and Raleigh, though. I've been a State fan my whole life. Getting back to the State-Carolina rivalry, it is one-sided. It's not a rivalry for Carolina, and it shouldn't be because they're better than us. So these things don't matter to them. That's why it's so awesome when State beats them. Case in point, last night's loss to Virginia Tech. That's the kind of team we are. So when we beat Carolina, it's awesome. They have a better brand. They're more prestigious overall. Anyway, now, I think a lot of State fans are not going to like to hear this. We play Cal at home this Saturday, I believe. Nothing about that game matters as long as the spawn of fucking Satan is still in the stands screaming defense. Can we please do something? Somebody please do something. Like, what the actual fuck, man? People's children are going to start going missing or something, dude. I don't even know. Take that thing out. I don't even know how that pitch is possible, let alone sustainable for a full game. Also, it's clearly not working. So politely, please, shut the fuck up. I don't want to watch State basketball as it is. You're making it worse. Go Pack.
Are you familiar with what the caller is talking about?
I have heard it mentioned before. I have not heard it in action.
I was listening. Which game was it that I was listening to? Matt Chazanow and Tony Haynes on the Wolfpack Radio Network, and it was bleeding through.
Yeah.
No. Oh God, I forgot what game it was. Regardless, it doesn't matter. It was bleeding through the broadcast. It was bad.
Okay, I'll make a point.
It was bad.
I'll make a point to
on the
watch
television.
on Saturday. The comment about how is such a thing sustainable is very similar to how I feel. Do you know I think it's a kid, like an older teenager.
Okay.
That during Kane's warm-ups is jumping and swinging the towel. Like,
yeah, I've seen
how
that.
on earth that pace is sustainable is beyond me every time I see it.
It's the energy of a kid, man.
I guess
it's the energy of a kid. All right, what else we got here?
You've got mail.
This is from a 336. Joe's longtime listener, first-time texter. I will say this, State has brought out a lot of people who have just been left with no choice but to text or call the OG Sports phone. And I think it's great. It's reason why we've kind of jokingly called it real pack therapy. We all know how this is going to end. Keats will eventually be fired. The national media will scream, how do you fire a coach who brought you a title for the first time in 37 years and took you to the Final Four for the first time in 41 years? As we all know, they'll fail to remember that he was a Michael O'Connell miracle away from being fired in the same year. He won 9 in a row, for which I'm forever grateful. But seriously, the only question now is, are we looking at a Paul Hewitt runway, 7 years post-title game, or Kevin Ollie runway, 4 years post-title? I think the current line is set at 3.5. Thoughts? I'll sign off and listen.
Ooh.
I think it's more on the Kevin Ollie.
Yeah, I do too.
College athletics is too. And plus, the other thing, they got a new president coming in, a new chancellor coming in,
right?
Which is going to change some things around too,
right?
Because that also factors in for Dave Doran.
Which is why when you say 3.5, like my immediate reaction is, under all day long, hammer the under. But now I'm worried, is there too much I don't know that I don't know to say hammer that under?
Well, speaking of the overs and unders. Big thanks to our friends at DraftKings. You can check them out. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and it's official sports betting partner of the NFL. But right now, I suggest you get to the conference winner futures on DraftKings right now. I am looking at NC State, ACC champion, plus 50,000 right now. Plus 50,000. That's in the same group as BC, Cal, Georgia Tech, Miami, Notre Dame, and Virginia and Syracuse. Right now,
plus 50,000 is what, $1 wins $500.
Well, let me see. I got $7, and let me put the wager down. That'll get me $2,505.
Nice.
You know what? Why not?
Yeah, do it.
I just Let's just place the bet. $5 gang, stand up. Stand up, $5 gang. So now here's the thing that some of our listeners pointed out to us yesterday that I had not considered. It never crossed my mind.
All right.
That NC State might not even make the ACC tournament because of the additions of Cal, Stanford, and SMU. They're only bringing 15 out of the 18. So there's a distinct possibility that they don't even, because I've been making the joke, hey man, NC State season starts March 11th in Charlotte. Let's go. But it might not start on March 11th. Regardless, DraftKings also your spot for touchdowns as we are in the divisional round. I don't think DraftKings has odds on what will produce the hottest take, a Buffalo loss or a Ravens loss.
Right.
I'm of the opinion that a Ravens loss will produce the hottest of hot takes. Because
do you think?
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson's black and Josh Allen is not.
Yeah, I hear you, but Josh Allen would have lost in the same round at home 3 years in a row.
Yeah, but Josh Allen never had an entire offseason and multiple off seasons of, well, he should have been a wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there's that too, okay? I mean, there's that. There's that. I mean, I could easily explain why, both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson's a moot point anyway, because Patrick Mahomes is still in the league. So there's that. Like, congratulations. I think Bomani has made this point about how Patrick Mahomes is the Tom Brady to these Peyton Mannings. You know?
Oh, that's 100% fair. I would argue that I have never seen a dominant team look like they all got old at the same time the way the Chiefs have looked this year.
I think
that being said, they're 15 or 16-1, so shut the fuck up to me.
Right. I mean, there's that element, number one. Number two, and I think it was Chris Collinsworth who recently did a media thing, media insider thing about how the NFL media has Chiefs fatigue too.
The media does, fans totally.
No, the media does too.
I mean,
there has been, for a team that's on the verge of a three-peat.
Yeah.
There's little discussion about the Chiefs.
That's fair.
Very little discussion about the Chiefs. We're obsessed with what's going on in Dallas. Josh Allen, I mean, Mike Tomlin, all these things. Very little discussion about the Chiefs.
Is with the Chiefs a three-peat like that? When was the last time we saw that happen? We haven't seen that happen in our lifetime.
No,
right?
No.
So that would be amazing. But the Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl would be the best story in sports in forever. I think that's sort of the glare over all of this.
I also cannot get odds on DraftKings about what would produce the drunkest Super Bowl on who gets there for fans.
Bills and
Detroit.
Yeah, probably.
That would probably be the drunkest. But what you can do at DraftKings is you can bet on touchdowns. Scoring touchdowns, obviously key in the playoffs and key to getting some gains in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So if you're ready to place your first bet, try betting on something as simple as scoring 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, make your picks, and while you're there, make sure you use the promo code OG24. New customers who bet $5 with that promo code will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. You can use one of those bonus bets on NC State winning the ACC Championship. So only some people made money last year with those bonus bets on NC State getting in the Final Four. But only on the DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
All right, let's continue. Let's get away from NC State and to my next favorite topic, Bill Belichick in North Carolina.
Oh, sure.
There's no one way to contain this. We got various reactions from UNC fans on social media, email, YouTube comments, Instagram comments, sending me Mike Lombardi's tweets, the general manager for North Carolina, his appearances on McAfee.
Right.
Okay, fine. And my personal favorite, an IG post from Belichick's girlfriend.
Yes.
From UNC Picture Day. And the caption reads, pictured two people who are overtly committed to UNC football. And Bill's got his arm around her. She's looking up, lovingly at Bill.
Right.
And she's got the football with the UNC logo. And this is the moment that it finally crystallized for me. And then let me explain.
Okay.
Because you of all people would understand what I'm getting at here because you are deeply involved with college football.
Yes.
At first I was like, come on, man. Bill ain't serious about this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had somebody tell me the other day on the NFL, not the college side, from the NFL side.
Yeah.
saying, go look at Bill's media itinerary between now and through the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And tell me where he's having time to do all these recruiting visits and all this other kind of stuff, right? And my response was, and I'll bring this up to you, I'm like, well, didn't Saban do a lot of this stuff too? Like he was making himself available. And the response to me was not like this.
Right.
I was like, okay, gotcha. I'm picking up what you are putting down.
Yeah.
I understand that. But this is going to sound really base. I understand this, but this picture on Instagram with Belichick and his girlfriend and her like making herself the main character in a way that everybody was losing their shit over Travis Hunter and his girlfriend. Actually, no, Bill really is about that college life, because this is the kind of stuff that college people glom onto. The wife or the girlfriend, the significant other that's part of the main character energy, that you're going to read what they say because they're clearly online, and Bill's not going to give you anything. So you have to kind of get a sense of where Bill's at based on the partner.
Wife. Yeah, sure.
Right? The significant other. And I'm thinking, this is pure SEC. Maybe Bill's not in the right conference.
Yeah.
Bill needs to be in the SEC where we can freak out about social media use about significant others. So you know what? It crystallized for me, man. It crystallized for me.
He is never going to coach a game.
No, he is.
No, he's never going to coach a game.
He's going to coach. He's going to coach a season.
Never.
He's going to coach a season.
I tell you what,
it's not going to go the way people think it's going to go.
Sure.
And to be clear, there's people like, oh man, this is bothering. No, it's not bothering me. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I'm taking crazy pills is when people cannot see what's obviously in front of them.
Yeah.
Like a guy that some serious questions as to how this is all going to work out and who he's hiring and where are they in the portal? Is he really working the portal? I mean, I don't know. And why do the NFL insiders keep bringing this up? Right? Like, why can't it just? How many times does Mike Lombardi need to go on McAfee to say he's not going to the NFL, and yet within 24 hours we'll get another insider to say, well,
Yeah.
So I find all this fascinating.
Remind me who Mike Lombardi is working for right now.
He's working for UNC,
which means he's working for who?
He's working for Bill.
Right. So don't you think every time he goes on TV and says Bill's not going to the NFL, NFL people go, well, why not? Surely we have more money than the University of North Carolina. I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a fucking second. He's not going to coach a game.
Okay.
And I tell you what, if he coaches, who's Carolina's first game next season?
It's TCU on August 30th.
Okay. If he is coaching on August 30th, if at the end of the game he is on the sideline at the University of North Carolina, Joe, we will have a party down at Longleaf Swine and my credit card bill will stay open behind the bar. I do not believe it. I do not believe he's going to coach a game.
RIP to September Creative.
Well, this will be Sally's credit card that is open.
All right, okay. That makes sense. All right. One more here before we go to the paid side of things.
Hold up. Did I just hear a UT porn guy reference? All right. So I had class with that guy at State, and then a couple months later saw him on the road, and he was just a douche, and so ended up making reference to his video. His friends laughed at him, and he drove away. And so I swear on my life, when my daughter was in preschool, one of the dads was the guy, and I even told my wife who was at State. I sent pictures of friends. I'm like, hey, this is the guy, isn't it? And then they asked him where he's from one day. He's like, oh, just moved from Michigan. Been down here a couple years. No, dude, I know who you are. So fuck that guy. So enjoy the show. Have a good one.
All right. We're going to go to the paid side of things for this one. Because this is in relation. The context here is last week when we were doing Triangle Snow Memories, greatest moments in Triangle Snow history. And we brought up the 2004 News 14 viral moment where the Wolf Web found out News 14 at the time. I don't know what is Spectrum News now. At the time, it was News 14. They found the online submission form, and people were putting in, Cecil's Cockring Emporium back up tomorrow.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So Julio's point,
internet's fantastic.
Julio's point was that that's up there with technological innovations that have been brought to you by NC State.
Right.
All right. So he's like, this News 14 thing, the UT porn, and FlightAware.
Yeah.
Because, the NC State post-Herb said that coach search gave birth to fans going, hey, we could track the planes of these big boosters, right? So there were some people who were like, wait, what's the UT port exactly? What's the technological innovation? So first off, are you familiar with this?
I'm not, no.
Perfect. So this now leads into the paid portion of the podcast.
Okay.
If you want to hear the rest of it, go to ogtrianglemedia.com, be part of OG fans for as little as $13 a month. Dimitri, how can they save money?
Oh, if you sign up for a year, you are going to get a month free.
Perfecto. So appreciate everybody who's been listening to this mailbag. If you want to hear the rest of it, go to ogtrianglemedia.com. Big thanks to the Butcher's Market for sponsoring such podcasts that reference the UT porn.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.